Imagine this scenario, because it comes directly from the research we look at. Two women,
Okay.
identical training volume, same effort, doing the exact same program over, say, 3 months.
Right. Seems straightforward enough, but the outcomes, totally different.
Massively different.
Yeah.
Woman number 2 gains significantly more muscle strength, her muscle quality improves more, and her actual muscle fiber diameter increases more than woman 1.
And the only variable that changed.
Just when she did her hardest work.
Yeah.
Woman 2-timed her heaviest lifts, her most intense efforts, to line up with a specific, 10-day window each month.
Same work, just much better results. It's quite striking.
It really is.
So today we're diving deep into exactly that window, the follicular phase. This is, well, it's basically the biological blueprint for hitting peak strength and power.
Yeah, and it's critical information because it pushes back against, decades of fitness research that was mostly based on male physiology.
Right. And for you listening, if you want that shortcut, that way to really maximize your body's adaptation,
Yeah.
this is your roadmap.
We're trying to shift how you think about the menstrual cycle, not as an inconvenience or limitation.
But as a really sophisticated built-in system for enhancing performance, it's already there.
Okay, let's unpack this then. What exactly is this performance window? Why is the follicular phase, and specifically those days, maybe days 6 through 14, physiologically just better for building strength and power?
Well, the simple answer is hormones. Specifically, it's about this dramatic hormonal climb that happens.
Okay.
So the phase starts on day 1, first day of your period, right? At that point, estrogen and progesterone are at their absolute lowest levels.
Which explains why those first few days, days 1 to 5, can feel pretty rough. Fatigue, cramps.
Exactly. But almost immediately after that, maybe you're on day 5 or 6, estrogen levels start climbing. And not just a little bit, they climb dramatically.
How high are we talking?
We're talking peak levels right before ovulation, say day 12 to 14, that are maybe 3, even 4 times higher than they were back on day 1.
Wow. Okay, so that's the engine for growth then.
That's the engine. And what's really fascinating, and maybe not widely understood, is that estrogen isn't just about reproduction. For women, it's directly anabolic in muscle tissue.
Anabolic meaning muscle building.
Yes, precisely. Estrogen actually has specific receptors right there in your muscle fibers. So when it binds to those receptors, it doesn't just encourage muscle growth.
It actively tells the muscle to build.
It actively improves muscle protein synthesis. It enhances your body's fundamental ability to build and maintain lean mass.
Right.
Think of it sort of like the female equivalent of what testosterone does for muscle building in men. It primes the system for adaptation.
Okay, so we've got this huge natural anabolic surge happening. What does the research actually show in terms of performance? Can you feel it?
Oh, yeah. The data backs it up consistently. You see increased anaerobic capacity. That's your ability to do that really high-intensity, explosive work like sprints or heavy lifts.
Right.
You also see measurably higher overall muscle strength during this phase. Your body is just ready. Well, the neuromuscular system, the connection between your brain and muscles, seems to fire more optimally. Pain tolerance is even documented to be higher.
Interesting.
And maybe the most practical point for anyone training hard. Recovery seems to be significantly faster.
Okay, that's huge. It means you can handle more.
You can handle more volume, higher loads, maybe more frequent sessions without completely crashing.
So that's the follicular phase, the high estrogen anabolic powerhouse.
Yep.
But the cycle isn't just that phase, right?
No.
So here's where it gets really interesting. How does this contrast with the second half, the luteal phase, days 15 to 28, roughly?
Right, because understanding the contrast is key to actually using this information. After ovulation, around day 14, the whole hormonal picture flips.
Estrogen drops off.
Drops sharply, yeah. And progesterone becomes the dominant hormone. Progesterone is the key player in this second half.
And its effects are pretty much the opposite of estrogens in terms of muscle and performance.
Generally, yes. Progesterone is considered more catabolic.
Meaning it can potentially break down muscle tissue rather than build it.
It leans that way, yes.
Right.
It doesn't actively promote muscle protein synthesis like estrogen does. And practically speaking, it throws up a couple of hurdles for intense training.
Okay, like what?
First, it raises your core body temperature, not by a huge amount, maybe 0.3 to 0.5 degrees Celsius, but enough to make cooling down harder during intense or long exercise.
Ah, so that's why a hard run on, say, day 21 might feel way tougher than the same run on day 10, especially if it's warm out.
Exactly. Your body is starting slightly warmer, so it reaches that overheating point faster. Makes a difference.
What's the second hurdle?
The second thing, and this is important for injury prevention, is that progesterone can slightly increase joint laxity. It makes ligaments a little looser.
Really? Okay, that's crucial.
It is. It means those high-impact, explosive movements, jumping, heavy Olympic lifts, maybe they carry a slightly higher risk of strain or injury in the luteal phase. Or at least you need to be more mindful of form and control.
Okay, so putting it all together, the big takeaway here is follicular phase, days 6 to 14 roughly, with rising estrogen, that's your time to push. Progressive overload, aim for PBs, build strength.
Absolutely. Go for it then.
Then the luteal phase, days 15 to 28 with high progesterone. That's more about maintenance, maybe moderate intensity, focusing on really good form, controlled movements, and allowing for that extra recovery need.
That's biological periodization in a nutshell. It's moving away from that old model of just training the same way every single day like a, quote, small man, and actually leveraging your own unique female physiology.
Right. Makes so much sense when you lay it out like that.
So now we can actually structure the training around this. We know we want to really maximize that high estrogen anabolic window, which is essentially day 6 through day 14.
Okay. But before we jump into the peak phase, what about those first few days, days 1 through 5? You're menstruating, estrogen and progesterone are low. You mentioned fatigue, cramps. What should training look like then?
Yeah, you got to acknowledge how you feel. It needs to be gentler, restorative even. Think light to moderate effort, maybe 50 up to 70% of your max effort tops.
So not the time to test your 1-rep max.
Definitely not. Focus more on just movement. Gentle yoga, some mobility work, maybe some light strength using machines or lighter weights where form is easier to maintain. The main goal is just energy conservation. Avoid digging yourself into a hole.
Got it. Okay, then we transition into the prime time. Days 6 through 14. Estrogen is climbing fast. Recovery is better. Strength potential is peaking. This is the go hard window.
This is it. This is when you schedule your absolute toughest workouts, your heaviest lifting sessions for the month, your most intense HIIT protocols, your longest, hardest runs or endurance efforts.
Is there like an absolute peak day within that window?
The research we looked at suggests that day 12, 13, or 14, right before ovulation actually happens, seems to be the sweet spot for peak neuromuscular efficiency. So if you were going to test a 1-rep max or attempt a real personal record, those would be the ideal days to try it.
Okay, let's get specific then, programming-wise. What kind of workouts really capitalize on this phase? Starting with heavy strength training, since that seems like the most direct way to use that anabolic signal.
Absolutely. For maximum muscle gain, you want to focus on progressive overload with your big compound movements. Think squats, deadlifts, overhead presses, rows. The classics. And during this phase, you can really push the load. We're talking heavier weights, lower reps. Aim for something like 3 to 5 sets in the 3 to 8 rep range, using a weight that's, 75 to maybe even 90% of your 1-rep max. Really challenge the muscle.
So if you're planning your week, a key lower body workout during this window might feature, say, back squats, maybe 4 sets of 5 reps, pushing close to that 80–85% mark.
Right, and you could follow that up with something like barbell hip thrusts, maybe for slightly higher reps, like 4 sets of 8, to get good volume without totally frying your nervous system after the heavy squats.
And recovery between those heavy sets is key, right? You can't just rush.
Oh, absolutely crucial. You need to allow for full recovery to actually hit those strength numbers. We're talking maybe 3, even 4 minutes rest between those really heavy sets of 3 to 5 reps. Let the system reset so you can give max effort on the next set.
Okay, and because recovery is generally better here.
You can actually handle more frequency. Many women find they can manage 4, maybe even 5 solid strength sessions per week during this phase, provided they're smart about splitting muscle groups and listening to their body.
All right, so heavy strength is focus number 1. What about intensity? You mentioned anaerobic capacity is up, so HIIT.
Yes, this is the prime time for true high-intensity interval training. We're talking genuine maximum effort intervals.
Yeah.
Pushing your heart rate way up, like 85 to 95% of your max during those work periods.
This isn't just like moderate cardio intervals.
No, this is about developing power and anaerobic endurance. Think things like all-out sprints, maybe 10 rounds, 30 seconds absolutely flat out, followed by 90 seconds of active recovery, like walking or slow jogging.
Or Tabata style.
Tabata works great here, too. Those 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off circuits, using explosive bodyweight movements like jump squats, burpees, mountain climbers. Yeah. pushing maximal effort for those 20 seconds.
And again, because recovery is enhanced.
You can probably handle maybe 2 or 3 dedicated HII sessions like this per week during that peak window, days 7 through 14, without overdoing it.
Okay, strength, HIIT. What about power? Like explosive movements, plyometrics.
Great point. This is also the ideal time for plyos, jumping, bounding, medicine ball throws. Remember how we said progesterone in the luteal phase increases joint laxity?
Right, makes joints looser.
Well, in this follicular phase, before progesterone rises, your joints are generally more stable. Your body is more resilient to the high stress and impact that comes with plyometrics.
So things like box jumps.
Exactly. Box jumps are perfect. Maybe aim for quality over quantity, like 5 sets of 5 reps, focusing purely on jumping as high as possible each time. Broad jumps for horizontal power, depth jumps if you're more advanced.
You also mentioned something called complex or contrast training.
Ah, yes. That's a more advanced technique. But this phase is perfect for it. It's where you pair a heavy strength exercise immediately with a similar explosive power exercise.
Can you give an example?
Sure. You do a heavy set of back squats, say 3 to 5 reps, and then immediately after racking the weight, you'd perform a set of explosive box jumps, maybe 5 reps.
What's the point of pairing them like that?
The heavy lift potentiates your nervous system. It sort of wakes it up maximally so you can recruit more muscle fibers and jump higher or more powerfully right afterwards. The late follicular phase, with peak neuromuscular efficiency, is when you'll likely get the biggest boost from this kind of training.
Fascinating. Okay, one more area. Endurance training.
Yeah.
Any benefits there?
Definitely. Remember the core temperature thing?
Lower baseline temp in the follicular phase.
Right. So better thermoregulation. You basically don't overheat as easily. This means you can push harder for longer, especially in sustained efforts, without hitting that wall quite as soon.
And fuel use. Does that change?
Seems like the body is pretty efficient at using both carbohydrates and fats for fuel during this phase, too. Good metabolic flexibility.
So for runners or cyclists?
This is when you schedule your hardest quality sessions. Tempo runs, maybe 30, 40 minutes at that comfortably hard pace. VO2 max intervals, like those classic 8 by 800 meter repeats at your 5K race pace.
Yeah.
Even your long slow distance runs, say 75 to 120 minutes, they'll likely feel more sustainable and less draining during days 8 through 14 compared to the luteal phase.
Okay, wow. So let's try to synthesize this. If we're creating a simple blueprint for the follicular phase, days 1 through 5, basically while menstruating, is about light, restorative, controlled movement.
Keep it gentle, yeah.
Then days 6 through about 14, that's the green light. That's your high load, high intensity phase. Heavy lifting, true HIIT, power work like plyos, and your hardest endurance sessions.
That's the core strategy. Push hard when your physiology supports it most.
This knowledge, it feels like more than just finding a slight training edge, you know?
Oh, it absolutely is. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about working with your body's natural rhythm instead of constantly fighting against it.
Which so many women probably do without realizing it.
Exactly. And when you align your training with your hormones, you generally see faster progress, yes. But maybe just as importantly, you experience less frustration, less feeling like you're hitting a wall, less burnout.
It kind of reclaims the whole cycle, doesn't it?
It really does. It shifts the conversation entirely. It's not about managing an inconvenience anymore. It's about strategically maximizing a biological advantage that's unique to you.
It fundamentally changes your relationship with your body and your training potential.
That's the goal, empowering you with the knowledge to train smarter, not just harder.
And that's our deep dive for today. As you think about integrating these high-intensity protocols into your follicular phase, remember that crucial contrast we talked about.
The luteal phase.
Right, days 15 to 28, characterized by that higher progesterone, potentially more inflammation, that joint laxity. Knowing that, here's something to mull over. What's subtle, but maybe really essential, shifts in the types of exercises you choose during that luteal or maintenance phase, maybe backing off the high-impact jumps and focusing more on controlled strength, like heavy negatives or machine work. What shifts might be most crucial then to not just maintain fitness, but to actively protect your joints and guarantee you can keep training hard, cycle after cycle for the long haul.
That's a great point to consider for optimizing the whole picture.
Definitely something to explore as you plan for your next cycle.